I don't like it when any corporations try to be my friend. Like, fuck you.
Oh no, it's the most facetious thing in the world. I hate it. That's where that Silence brand meme came from.
Yeah, silence brand with the spider thing. Yeah.
Just, oh my god, just do not pretend that you give a shit about me, company. You don't. Just give me your crappy product. I'll give you my stupid money, and we can just. That's where the relationship ends.
Exactly. Like, you imagine your boss being like, "We're gonna fire you, but we are here for you."
No shit.
So
Oh, the worst is when companies are like, "Oh, we're a family." Really?
Yeah.
You're gonna stand by my bedside when I'm dying at 80? Swear to God. Or when they try to, like, how do you do, fellow kids? You know?
Yeah. It's frustrating.
Which Konami just did the other day. Or no, was that today, actually? Was it today or yesterday?
Yeah, they definitely, they 100% how do you do, fellow kids does.
With the nanomachines?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was cool of them, though. Fuck y'all.
No, not.
I personally enjoyed seeing some, like, there's such a meme culture on Twitter with Metal Gear, and it was nice to see them get involved.
Yeah.
I really think it was nice to see them get involved. It was weird for them to show up late for Metal Gear Solid 2's birthday party when we were all drunk and, like, hanging out in the garden, and, like, there was shit everywhere. The campus had been shut down. And then
Dude, the party was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Konami turned up like, "Happy birthday to you." It was fucked up.
In Japan, we mean. Shit. Okay.
If they make the meme thing like a habit and they actually, like, joke around with fans more, okay. But when you're going to ignore the hell out of Metal Gear on its anniversary and then you show up with a meme.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of Konami. It's like cheated on its marriage in front of us with some girl that's way too young for them. Like, it's like some hot college girl that is Metal Gear Rising. And cheated on its marriage to Metal Gear Solid 2 and right in front of us and expects us to say nothing.
Do not tell us that you converted to Jesus. We know what you do on the weekends.
Hey, I'm Fingers.
Yo, it's Apache Smash.
Hey everyone, this is Days Ahead.
And I'm Nitroid. You're listening to the Kojima Frequency.
But I can't see them just dropping, like, memes and stuff on Twitter all the time. Like, I want to see that. I want to live in a world where they do that. I want to see them shitpost daily. But I can't see it being consistent.
Yeah. The replies, man. It's brutal.
Give us a fucking game.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I showed, I posted it to a group chat I'm in with the guys from the Snake Soup, and I can't remember which one of them posted it, but it's like the dying, wilted, like, Wojak, where it's like, please just re-release the games.
Yeah.
In response.
Someone posted me in that. They, like, photoshopped me into that meme. It's 4 p.m. That one. I got fucking photoshopped into that. If you take the rip out of Metal Gear Rising, you better be prepared, because you're not going to get bullied by fans of that game. But oh my god, they're meme folders. And they have access to Photoshop, and they work quick.
Dude, why would you tweet that? I mean, I know you like kicking the hornet's nest every now and again.
What do you mean every goddamn day? Apache's out here just shooting from the hip. It's like that Bugs Bunny meme.
You hit the bullseye with that one, like,
just pissing off the Metal Gear fandom. And, like, he hits people that, like, don't know about him too. Sometimes you can just tell, like, they just get pissed off and they have, like, no clue. It's just like, they're just out here shit posting.
The best ones are the ones that people that, like, usually when you make those posts, you can, if you're savvy, you can tell that it's a joke, because it's like no one would
like,
post that.
Who's part of the boys and just like, yeah.
Yeah, but this one.
Someone replied and they were like, "This this is terrible bait. I'm like, bro, it's got 70 replies. Like, I don't think that's
what
true.
I call great bait. Yeah.
Right. That's fresh, man. What was it exactly that you said in the tweet again?
Hold on. I'll get it. I'll read it out. Just completed Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Not a bad game. Enjoyed some parts. What's with that soundtrack, though? Really terrible. Not one good song.
Yeah.
I
Which,
saw
by the
that
way-
and I was like, well, let's start a GoFundMe for his headstone.
I remember I wrote it and then I messaged you guys and I was just like, I'm dead for this one. Like, I'm actually dead for this one. And I still haven't played the game, and the soundtrack's fine. There's a fanatical.
Wait, you still haven't even played it?
No, I haven't played it.
Oh my god.
God damn it.
I feel like I'm the one getting trolled now.
The picture's just off Google, and I just Googled the name of the game, and I was like,
Jesus.
what's the worst picture here? And it's like just a horrible aspect ratio.
I know, but when you posted earlier about like you're like, I love the Metal Gear Solid trilogy. Like that just I don't know.
Your tweet is evil, and you even replied to me, and you're like, why haven't you answered yet? It's
Because
like,
you
I
answered in
haven't
the Discord,
decided.
but you won't put your answer out on Twitter. I'm like, come on. I got Shaine to answer. I was like, come on, give it to me. I got her eventually to say the OG trilogy. Well, I don't know. It got me thinking like Star Wars. Like I was like, if it was like divided up into like the prequels and like the OG shit, and then like, now we have like the sequel era with it. Like what would those games be?
Don't you dare pretend for a second like if they had the same survey for the Star Wars trilogies that it wouldn't be insanely one-sided.
Yeah. I don't know. There's plenty of people that fucking love the sequels, and there's a lot of people that like the prequels. And that's like, you can't even go out and say that.
There's a lot of people with brain damage. I mean,
But yeah, I mean, me and you, Nitro, both said the OG trilogy, which was just Metal Gear, Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake, and Metal Gear Solid.
I can live with that. I really can. I love Metal Gear Solid 2, but I can live with that.
Yeah, it's weird. We were talking about that earlier, like the gameplay differences and like what goes into Metal Gear Solid 2 as a concept, and then like actually as a game when you sit down to play it. And I think, yeah, for me, Metal Gear Solid 2 is the one that I've played through the least, just because it's, for me, like once you get up to, just the plant, it just.
Well, it's one of those things, and I've thought a lot about this because it's no mystery that I'm like, I adore that game and everything about it, but it has a huge flaw, which is that outside of the context of MGS1, it doesn't work. It just doesn't function. The entire point of that game is to take MGS1 and sort of look at it through this lens of, legends should be questioned. How do we interpret sequels? How do we interpret, in sort of a broader context, games? And it doesn't really work on its own. If you went into that game not having played MGS1, they're gonna spell out references for you, but they're not gonna resonate. They're just like flashbacks to something that you really don't have any firsthand knowledge of.
Yeah, but it still plays great. The gameplay holds up. And
The
it
gameplay
looks
is great. Yeah, like the gameplay itself is good.
You can appreciate it without having played Metal Gear Solid 1. Even though you can't fully appreciate it, you can still have a great experience playing Metal Gear Solid 2 as your first Metal Gear game.
Yes, but it's the whole reason that Metal Gear Solid 2 is so revered is because that relationship with its predecessor elevates it to that point. Without that, it's just kind of another game. I mean, it's a very good game, but that little bit extra comes from that relationship with MGS1. Like this, I was talking to Fingers about this earlier, like the scenario design in the game. One of the most annoying aspects in the game is the bomb disposal.
Yeah, that's when I check out pretty much. I'm like, God damn it.
Right, because you're just trekking across the big shell in a big circle to try and get this stuff done. And then you finish it and you find out that deactivating all the bombs actually activates the big one, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a really annoying revelation, but it works in the context of echoing what happened in MGS1 with the PAL keys, where you had to put in the first PAL key, then you had to heat the key, then you had to freeze the key, and you go through all this work and all this backtracking, and you're finally done, and what happens? It activates Rex. So, like, all your work was for naught. You've been, been played all along. That effort you put in and the sudden meaninglessness of the effort is what made it impactful. And MGS2 doesn't have that same impact, but that's not what it's trying to do. It's trying to bring up the memory of when that happened to you in the previous game.
But without that memory, you still have the fantastic voice acting as you defuse each bomb and the mystery of, like, what, every time you defuse a bomb, you can call Stillman and he'll be like, no, something's not right here. And it just leads up to it. And then you find out that information. It's still very rewarding, I think.
It is. I just think it's not as impactful as it would be without that extra context. And the fact, even to that point, the fact that Stillman sort of projects that this is very obviously a setup in some regard.
You have it's something I love about Metal Gear in general is it will give you the mandatory codex every other bomb. I think every other bomb gives you a forced codec where he will tell you, but you can call him after every single one, and there's an explanation for every single bomb you defuse. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, the fact that they're mandatory after every single one means that when you do them in a different order the next time around, presuming that you didn't call the first time, it feels like a fresh experience, like the game's adapting to how you're playing it.
Yeah, I've seen it done one way so long that when I see the codex trigger in different places, it still weirds me out. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Why are you getting a call here?
I think it's just the whole like strut layout to it too. It's just like that just makes it like, I don't know, a schlep going all the way back.
Well, yeah, it feels like a video game map, but that's, again, you could argue kind of the point.
Does it look like a double helix?
Yeah.
See, someone asked that, and I was like, I think it does. I can see it. And just the fact that Solidus talks about double helix as well.
Well, they're also supposed to kind of look like molecules.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Which, is echoed in that intro cutscene.
Do you remember in Team Fortress 2, orange maps?
No.
The orange maps were like, basically what they were huge maps, but they had very low amounts, not low amounts of details, but they were like one color. And the big shell kind of looks like an orange map from TF2. Let me show you a picture of one. And you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, drop it in live chat. I want to see that. I mean, MGS1 is extremely grounded in reality, and MGS2 is very much designed to feel, kind of artificial, superficial. But again, like, that's the point. And like, this is the whole argument with media that quote unquote subverts your expectations. And everybody hates that discussion, but like, that struggle to make something that is entertaining and it encourages introspection and examination while also not being condescending to the audience and still being fun and enjoyable in and of itself, right? Like, it's so easy to make something that's so, for lack of a better word, clever, that it loses the audience because it's like, all right, yeah, you're real clever, but it doesn't really matter because I didn't have a good time, right?
Yeah.
And MGS2, there are definitely areas of that where, that first time through the game, you feel like, I'd rather be having a good time playing the proper sequel to MGS2 that I was promised with that tanker footage than whatever the hell this is. And that, contributed to a lot of the backlash, but I think, it's aged very well and it rode that line better than it could have. And the minimalism of the big shell is one of those things that sort of rides that line a bit. Yeah, that map looks kind of crazy. How would that even play?
They were literally done because obviously, like, when we all played Team Fortress 2, our computers kind of sucked. So having the less details possible was mean more people could play at a better frame rate. And they were easy. Yeah. And there was lots of them, and some of them were like so popular. They were as popular as the actual maps that were put into the game.
Yeah, it looks like a dev map.
Yeah, and it always, even then, it always reminded me of the plant in MGS2, which is not to say the plant isn't detailed, but there is something removed that helps it run better. Like
it's very starkly minimalist.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this looks just like MGS2, but there's
No,
similarities to the plant,
I
sure.
see it.
If I'm gonna get pretentious, I'm gonna get real fucking pretentious, and I'm gonna call it retro futuristic brutalism.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
But you admitted on the Well Read Mage podcast that this was a long con to have a soapbox in the Metal Gear community.
We did say that.
Oh shit! You guys listened to that?
Yeah.
I caught you in 4K, motherfucker. Just kidding.
No. A little bit.
And that's why I wanted to ask, was just because I thought I learned some stuff from that conversation, so maybe we could get that dude on here.
Oh my god, gonna get roasted tonight. Yeah, honestly, that was part of why I wanted to start it. Because I did have a lot of stuff I wanted to say, but I understood that like not everybody gives a shit what I have to say. And it would be better to have other people on, not just to fill it, but to offer contrary views, because sometimes I'm full of shit and I need to be called on that. And God, if I just keep talking, maybe you'll forget that I said that. Yeah. In all seriousness, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I also liked, I'm pretty sure a million people have said this before, but I liked it when the dude said, forget his name, but he said, yeah, he told his wife, Metal Gear, she was like freaking out watching Metal Gear Solid 2 cutscenes, and he says something like, yeah, this game's gonna figure you out before you figure out the game.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I liked that. God, now I feel really awkward.
I'm sorry for putting you on the spot there.
No. Because obviously
there wasn't
I've
much Metal Gear Solid news this week, okay, man? We gotta we gotta talk about Nitroid.
I mean, Kojima wants to go to the moon.
Wants to go to the moon, and now he's like straight up, I'm gonna make movies and soundtracks.
Yeah, he's finally getting his like music division, and yeah, they've got some office in LA now.
He watches reruns of old Star Trek. We Are the Same.
Yeah, but you can tell he does not care for it.
He said he's not a Trekkie. Yeah, so we know he's not a gay and he's not a Trekkie. There's those two things.
Maybe we're not the same.
A week. I did like a week or so ago when he was like, I put on Cowboy Bebop on Netflix, and then I changed my mind.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen
my
something
God,
so scathing
Straight up
from
bailed
him.
on it.
That is the closest I've ever seen him get to saying he didn't like something.
Yeah.
Because I mean, everybody knows the Captain Marvel tweet where he was, he'll go on like a diatribe explaining the impact that a film had on him and like the meaning he extracted from it and how it relates to an experience he had in his life. And he'll do this for almost every movie he sees. And then for that, it was just saw Captain Marvel.
Saw Captain Marvel. And I think that he has a bit of empathy for creators, because I kind of got that from like his book where he's like, yeah, there are some books where like I'll read through it and I just know it's not for me, but it is what it is. Where I think other people may seem a little more outraged that they're displeased, but
yeah, and that's always something I've really respected about him, and I've tried to do that more myself. I'm not great at that. But when you put as much work into the things you create as he does, I can imagine it would change your perspective on any creative work where your first thought is gonna be, I wonder how much work they put into this, regardless of how it turns out in the end. That's gonna be at the forefront of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's never really disrespectful with it.
No.
Yeah.
But that was funny.
Once you're like privy to how the process actually works and how much effort goes into creating anything, I think he's going to have just more. People are very quick to like call something the worst thing ever and really shit all over a piece of work. And because he's just more involved in that process, I think he just wouldn't do that. I think a lot of creators are probably the same.
To that point, and I hate to make this about software development, but I kind of feel that way, like working in software development and seeing like critiques of certain, not necessarily like critiques of specific criticisms of games, because, you know, sometimes shitty games are just shitty games, but like when people demand like certain balance, like drastic balances to a game, or they're like, why hasn't this feature been implemented, or this small feature's been implemented over this big feature? And I'm like, you guys need to understand story points, backlog, like impediments.
Yeah, there was that whole argument this week where people were kind of talking about like, there'll just be like a group of people who are like, yeah, I want to throw like $100,000 at an idea and here, make this video game happen. And it's like, dude, you do not realize how much, you know, money and time it takes for these things to happen. You know, so
there is a related phenomenon to this that you guys are reminding me of. I may have actually mentioned it in the past, but the guy who most famously is known for writing Jurassic Park, Michael Crichton, coined a term called the Gel-Man Amnesia effect. Have you ever heard of this?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'm just going to quote what he says about it, and it'll drive you crazy because you'll immediately empathize with it. So it goes like this. Briefly stated, the Gel-Man Amnesia effect is as follows. You open the newspaper to an article on some subject you know well. In one person's case, it could be physics, and another person's case could be show business. You read the article and see the journalist has absolutely no understanding.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Yeah, right. So like
we talked about this when we're talking about like Reddit or something.
Yeah. So you read it, just to recap, you read it. You're like, oh, the person writing on this has absolutely no idea what they're talking about. This is my specialty, and they're completely clueless. And then you turn the page and read an article about some subject you don't know, and you take it at face value because you're not familiar with it, and you're just like, oh yeah, okay, that seems right. And like,
gotcha.
We all do it, you know? And that's sort of, I think how a lot of people who play games sort of look at the process of game making is they think it, I know we're kind of treading old ground here, but it, gets into the whole romanticizing thing and not understanding the process.
On the topic of the process, I wonder if like Kojima is also sort of looking at like, and I think I used a similar term on Twitter, like sort of looking at horizontally producing in a way that like, he'll be able to make, for instance, music for his games, or like a movie supplementing some like X and Y, like because I kind of saw a bit of that with him working with like, there were clearly some songs that were provided by Sony that weren't meant for the Death Stranding soundtrack, or they were like very like slightly tangibly related to the Death soundtrack. So I expect more of that, and I'm a sucker for like pop movie soundtracks. I loved that shit in the 90s.
So are we heading for like a Hideo Kojima media empire? Is that the end of the road here? Is that where he's heading?
See, like, I don't know if it's because of all the GTA controversy, but I'm now just picturing like a Donald Love type situation where you're starting gang wars.
I saw him talking about that Arcane series. He's like really gushing about that and how they used Wood Kids music in that, and it was just like, he was like, oh my god, this. So I think he is trying to curate something like other than video games where he has the full control over the experience, I think. And just doing it with film, something that you watch and don't necessarily play.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here for it.
It is kind of cool that I guess technically Kojima Productions LA is back now in a sense. It's definitely not what it was,
2.0.
But in spirit it's there. Except now I wonder if it's going to be so he mentions that like this is going to be geared towards film and music, right? So more general media creation, but I wonder if that excludes games or includes games. Because like the idea behind KPLA in the first place was that they were going to be like a supplemental development studio that could work more closely with American media companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's clearly, sort of, related to what he's doing with the new LA branch, but the goal seems a lot broader. So I wonder if they're going to have any sort of game production facet to them.
It'll be interesting to see how the different businesses integrate. I mean, this is all completely speculative, like NFTs. But sorry. But yeah, I would be interested to see how he integrates those businesses. Like Finger said, he's all about curating the entire experience. So
that's a you line right there.
we're bouncing it back and forth, man. Okay.
I'm stealing that from you.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of falls together. Hopefully there is some integration there. I'd be really disappointed if he was just like, all this stuff was like independent.
I mean, he's very clearly going to be able to get this thing up and running, and have it function in a way that it has quite a bit of influence, just from the fact that he's constantly rubbing elbows with everybody in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't he at like a launch event recently for Last Night in Soho?
I think I did see him at some like red carpet type thing.
Yeah, I think that might have been the Japanese launch of the film. I'm not sure exactly, but the fact that he's involved in the promotion of the movie at all is just kind of notable. And I mean, it's Edgar Wright, and they know each other. Edgar Wright had a cameo in Death Stranding. It's just the sheer magnitude of how many connections he has made.
Connections.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, you could say that was part of the point, but it's funny.
God, that would be so fucking diminishing if all that messaging in Death Stranding was just about Kojima networking with celebrities.
Networking is important.
It's crazy to think, though, that like all of these people that he's making connections with are just in, and I hate to reduce it to this, but in large part because of Metal Gear.
I mean, I like to look at it as like a product of the 20-year cycle, in a sense that like for example, like we grew up on anime. I can't believe that like for the next 10 years I was like, man, I can't believe I grew up on anime. And then the people who grew up on anime started producing and were making media that was inspired or refined by like the anime aesthetic, the anime edgy aesthetic that we had from like the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. But to that point, now you have all these kids who grew up on Metal Gear, who grew up on war games, who grew up on Metal Gear. Now they're grown, and now Kojima's telling them, oh, I like their film. So it's like, it's a cycle. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely positioning himself well, and this is going to be interesting. I'm just trying to imagine what in the world a film by Kojima will look like. And I know, the instant thing to imagine is something akin to Metal Gear cutscenes. And then we've talked about this before, but like that's, a multitude of hours stitched together with gameplay. They don't function the same. If Kojima's going to make a film, it's going to have to be structured and paced like a film. It's going to be a very different animal from what we're used to seeing.
I think too, like if you look at like the Ground Zeroes cutscenes, like where it's the camera work, where you've got all these like Dutch angles and all that type stuff going on. It's I think he's definitely going to lean into something more of that.
I don't know what to think.
You could go like the whole like David Lynch route with it and just be fucking weird.
It's so weird, like going back to X years ago, like 10 to 15 years ago, people would just make this joke like Kojima should just make movies. And now here we are talking about his studio.
It's like, fine.
What a middle finger to those people. Did you like that, bitch?
He said 80% of his body was movies anyway, so
yeah, but
now it's down to 70%. What the fuck?
Is it? Did we lose 10%?
It's 70%, yeah.
Yeah.
Has it always been 70?
I think so.
Oh, god damn it.
Who knows? Maybe it's changed. Maybe it's like 72% now.
Got the Mandela effect.
We need to have a constant scientific study to accurately measure the consistency of and the ratio of film to game in his body at any given time. Got to keep it in balance.
We're losing him. He's going more film. Yeah, it's going to go 50-50 soon.
Oh, God. Just do
what
anime.
What if that's just his way of like always letting us know? He's like, hey, I ain't always going to be doing games. I got bigger dreams in my mind.
At some point, it's going to show up like 5% that energy drink he's always taking pictures of. 1% Mads Mikkelsen appreciation.
It's got to be at least 2, right? 2%. But what if he just doesn't do any of that and just goes to the moon?
Yeah.
He did get that SpaceX invite a while back. And if William Shatner can go to space, I mean,
he
10,
even
20
said that
years.
in his tweet. He was like, and by the way, William Shatner did it. I was like, okay.
It's a fair point. I'm just saying. He could do it.
Was he trying to say like, and he's older than me? Like, I'm not that old, so fuck him. Like, go ahead.
Well, by the time he's that age, we probably will be going to the moon. Honestly, it would be interesting. I would like to see him get the opportunity to go to space. I mean, he's made enough space-centric games, and he clearly wants to do something else with that theme, just based on some of the concept art that he showed off.
And everybody knows about the thing with the boss and Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 3 with the what is it? The overview effect? Is that what it was called?
Yeah, I mean, any kid who grew up during that time period is going to romanticize space just due to the space race.
Yeah.
But he did Police Knots, which goes very heavily into, we're going to end up in space at some point, but there are all of these issues that might arise when we get there that we're not thinking about now.
Which the game does such an awesome job at like explaining all that exposition wise.
Yeah.
Like it's so full of that. Just like, oh yeah, and by the way, we got to worry about this part too. It's just like, oh damn it, that would suck actually. Like,
and then there's Zone of the Enders, which is a game that just refuses to be successful despite how good it is, and it kills me.
Yeah, full disclosure, Nitroid, like, when we were trying to think up shit to talk about this episode, Nitroid is like, guys, maybe we can make it a Zone of the Enders episode. And
man,
silence.
Sorry. It's so hard to because at this point, okay, Zone of the Enders has become a series that everybody respects, but nobody buys. And they keep I mean,
I played it and it was just it didn't really grab me. Like I played it and I was like, okay, that was fine, that was good, but it was just something that I didn't really want to revisit.
I'm just not really that big on games with huge robots in them.
Yeah, like the gameplay was very repetitive and samey for it. But yeah, god damn it, Apache.
Okay, well, which one did you play though? Did you play 1 or 2?
I played both of them.
See,
2 was better than 1, but
I really enjoyed 2 over 1.
Especially, like the story in 2 is great, but it's just like as far as like playing the game, having a good time, it didn't really click with me on that level, like of being like great.
It's not the same sort of sandbox experience that you get from a Metal Gear title.
Oh, sure. But I haven't played it in VR, and I do know that probably takes it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, Cygames did a remarkable job with the VR conversion.
I was even at E3 that year when they had it in VR and didn't play it. I was like,
no,
I'm good.
Is that when they
came over? He's like, hey man, you want to play Zone of the Enders? I was like, you can even get some free socks with it. And I was just like,
you turned down free
one
socks.
of those socks.
I
You
put my hand up and was
man.
like, I'm good, dude. I don't really want to play Zone of the Enders. I've played it.
I'm so mad at you right now.
Somewhat off topic, but I did I was doing some booths for my company, and I will never forget giving out socks, and people went fucking ape shit for swag socks.
I wanted the socks, but I didn't want to play the game for the
What
socks.
the fuck?
A small price to pay for a pair of socks.
Did they have the booths set up that looked like the orbital frame cockpit?
Yeah.
God, I'm so mad at you right now. I wanted to do that, and I actually sent a message asking if they had any socks left over.
So,
because I really wanted to get a pair. I was like, dude, I will pay for them.
I'm just not a Zone of the Enders guy. Like I don't really like it. I don't know.
Oh my god, so what? It was an experience, man.
You get to do VR in a robot.
So when they announced that they were doing Zone of the Enders, the second game in VR, my first thought was that's gonna suck because there's no way you could possibly do that without it being like the most vomit-inducing experience.
Yeah.
Like, how, given the way those things move, could you possibly do it in VR? It's just going to be a disorienting mess. And no, they actually did a fantastic job at making it playable in VR. They keep it very stable and steady, and it's a lot of fun. And you don't even need to have the VR turned on. So, Cygames actually produced the best version of that game that you can get, and it's on PC, which is freaking great. So Zone of the Enders 2 stands now for all time.
It's probably on Steam sale right now, and if it's not on Steam sale right now, it'll be on Steam sale for Christmas. So
it's like dirt cheap constantly. Like, I've seen it for like $5. It's if you're not getting that game for $5, it's worth more. Just get it.
Does it have any historical footage in it?
God.
I just don't know if like we need to buy it now if we're worried about it. Or...
No,
Okay,
thankfully.
cool.
I wish they would have done the same with the first game, though I get that the first game is not as polished or as revered as the second one. But man, it's just like, yeah, the first game only arguably sold as well as it did because it came with the demo for Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it sold fairly well in North America. I don't know how it did in Japan. Assumedly, it did well there as well. But even at the time when that came out, people were joking, that hey, you buy the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo, you get Zone of the Enders for free. It's like the oldest
said that
joke
on
in the
the
book.
podcast.
I
too.
did say it. It's true though, and I did it, and everybody did it. That's why we got Zone of the Enders. And if you made the smart enough decision to pop that disc in when you were done playing the demo like 20 times, it was actually pretty good. It had a lot of rough edges, but there was a lot of creative stuff in it, like the changes in the plot depending on how many civilians you let get hurt, stuff like that.
I think one key thing I remember people pointing out, and I thought this was pretty cool when I was a kid, was like, you don't win at the end. Like, you lose the battle to Anubis. Was it Anubis?
Yeah. I read, I can't remember where I read this. It was it might take it as an anecdote, but I could swear that Kojima was talking about how one of his main reasons for wanting to make Zone of the Enders was because he wanted to work on a game where you had to run away from the final boss. And to be clear, Zone of the Enders is often attributed to him, but it is not a game that he directed or wrote. He just sort of acted as a producer. A lot of the credit there goes to Noriaki Okimura, who has produced a number of the Metal Gear games, including like Portable Ops. So I mean, he's old school Konami, but Kojima's name gets put on it because he added his producer role, and because, let's face it, you see Kojima's name on a game, you're probably going to buy it if you know that name. And Okamura and Shuya Murata wrote the story. So it's got a Kojima influence to it, but it's its own thing. It's his team sort of going off on their own and trying something new. But because the game did well on paper, that was what sort of encouraged the development of a sequel, and the sequel kind of tanked, despite the fact that it is phenomenal.
Dude, you get to go back and whoop Anubis's ass.
Yeah. I mean, it's a gorgeous game. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. It's fluid. It's smooth. If you are someone who likes mech games or high-speed action games, if you like Armored Core and just wish it was more, it's like if Armored Core and Devil May Cry had a baby. Like, that's what Zone of the Enders is. And
Diego.
And I love it. But the second game didn't do that well, and the only other game that really came out was like a Game Boy game, and then they keep trying to do these HD remasters, and they try to get a third game off the ground, and they just don't sell. I mean, nobody bought the HD collection. Nobody bought
Wasn't
Mars.
the HD collection like programmatically like funky?
Yes. Yeah, it had a lot of issues at launch and it just didn't do well. But if I remember right, Kojima cited that as one of the reasons that a third game didn't get off the ground. Because they were showing off, like, there was a point before the HD collection came out where they were like poking around at different ideas. Kojima tweeted a photo years back that like showed some concept logos for like Anubis 2, and Anubis is the name of the sequel in Japan. Like in Japan, it's called Anubis: Zone of the Enders. In America, it's called Zone of the Enders: The Second Runner. So Anubis is the official name of the sequel. So like he had Anubis 2, and then he had like ZOE 3DS, and you know, then they were doing like Project Enders, or was it Project? It was either, no, I think it was Enders Project, and it was this really gothic looking version of Zone of the Enders that they were saying, hey, we would like to do this at some point. This is our idea. It's like a new direction, and it just didn't take off. I mean, this is a series that had like a full on anime series. It had an OVA. It had like a Game Boy Advance tactical RPG. All of this stuff, and they just tried to turn it into this big series. Like Konami wanted their own big mech series, and it just refused to take. And I don't know why.
I think just like for me, the gameplay was just way too repetitive. Like it's, you know, it didn't draw me. That's like, I just got bored with it. Like I wanted it to be over, you know, like that was like, when I feel that with a game, I don't know, nothing was ever pulling me back into it. Whereas like Metal Gear, it's like the complete opposite. Like there's tons of it that brings me back in it. But with that, for me, it was like a one and done. Like it was a rental. I was like, cool. I'm glad I played it. Like it wasn't objectively bad. It was just a lot of the same shit over and over gameplay wise. And I was like, all right, cool. This is basically just a shoot 'em up, you know.
What's weird is I feel that way about Armored Core to a degree. And I get that Armored Core has like a lot of customization options built in. But I always felt like after playing an Armored Core game, I was done and I didn't want to go back. But I didn't get that at a Zone of the Enders. I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased because I really liked it. You know, it just resonated with me.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own stuff that they're into. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I like Drakengard a lot, the first one, and that is kind of a slog of a game.
Another one like Front Mission, like a lot of people are into that.
I don't know. Weirdly, I can't get into Musou games, if you can believe that.
Wow. I'm not surprised by that.
I get bored in like 10 minutes. I can't do
it. I did play through Hyrule Warriors 1, and then I like got the second one, and I played about 10 minutes of it, and I was like, nah, I can't do this again. And yeah, the same thing with Dynasty Wars. Like every time I looked at that game, I was just like, so this is all you do? Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Drakengard plays like a Musou that's been mixed with Ace Combat. I mean, that's by design. That's, if you ask the developers, that's pretty much what they say is what they were doing. Where you've got like the ground combat where you're just going up against these endless hordes of enemies, and then you hop on a dragon and you're flying through the sky doing these Ace Combat style missions. So I mean, there's variety there, and the fact that the story is incredibly fucked up, that kind of kept me tied in. But like Dynasty Warriors, I just can't get into it.
The Berserk one was pretty fun though. I don't know if you played that one.
I did not, but I bet that is good. You know, Drakengard is kind of in the same vein as Berserk. If you have not, if you like Berserk, you probably like Drakengard. It's a little weird. Can I plug something real quick?
Sure.
Wait, hold on. Before you do, I don't want to change your subject. If nobody knows, like, before we change your subject to Zone of the Enders, if you guys don't know this, and this is also promoting Endwalker, which comes out next week, both me and Nitroid play 14, but Nitroid's character is named Dingo Egret. I can't pronounce his name.
I tried to make him look like him.
Yeah, I've given Nitroid like criticism. I'm like, you need to change your character to an Elzen because that fits more of Dingo's body style.
Yeah, you're not
trying
wrong.
to make this RPing stuff work, man.
I'm boring. I'm always the guy who plays RPGs and then like picks the human. That's like every RPG I've ever played. ever.
I picked.
No,
I was originally human, but then I just switched to the dragon people, the Ora.
I'm creative in real life. My fantasy is being normal.
I'm afraid to play Final Fantasy Online because I know it's good, and you've seen the way I play games. I can't just drop 16 hours a day into that game, but I will because it looks really good. But I can't do it.
You're about to go fucking hard on RE2 apparently, right?
Yeah, I just started playing it today. It's so good. Oh my god, it's so good.
We need to stream it for me. But yeah, please, dude. Like yeah.
I've only played a little bit so far, but this is looking like game of the year, guys. This is really good.
I've heard this RE2 remake thing is kind of good.
We're one step closer to being the Kojima Frequency.
Oh my
gosh. When can we expect a blindfolded run with this?
Oh well, it's always on my mind when I play games now. Like I've like poisoned my brain. The other day I was watching someone play Worms Armageddon, and I was like, I wonder if you could play this blindfolded. And so when I'm playing RE2, I'm working out. I like pushing. I like run up to the wall, and I'm like, right. The whole way I'm like running down a corridor, I'm like, right, what sound is this making on the ground?
Yeah.
And does it change when I go onto a different terrain? Because obviously, like walking upstairs and walking on normal ground sound completely different. It's like, what happens when I touch the wall? Do I hear it? Because in Metal Gear Solid 3, you can hear yourself flatten out against a wall, right? So that's like a super good indicator. So I'm always thinking about that in games now.
Especially with like zombies too, like
Dude.
like if you're making contact with the zombie, if like they actually grab you and stuff. So if you're playing like really evasive, and just like dodging the zombies, you can get it down to like where rooms are easily clearable.
You're not thinking about this big enough, guys, because I want to know how he's gonna handle Mr. X and the foot stomping blindfold.
Dude,
he's easy as shit.
Yeah, that's not when you can't see and he's randomized.
That's the best app. No. You're not. No, he's. Oh my god, you're about to set me off. This is the perfect application of the blindfold, and I'm not going to get into depth with it. But if you're really quiet and you understand scripted where Mr. X comes out like by the script, then I think you can handle him blindfolded.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. I mean, obviously I've seen people play this game. I'm just playing it for the first time myself now. But there is an option in the sound options even on the console version, and I was really impressed with the inclusion of this. But there's radial sound based on distance, and you can turn it off because in blindfolded you don't always want that. For example, in MGS3 you don't have it, so you have a very flat sound. I'm sorry, anyone that thinks MGS3 audio is amazing. It's not. It's got problems. It's a very flat sound. If you're fighting the Fury, you can hear if he's on the left or if he's on the right. If he's in the same lane as you, it will still default to one side, so you won't hear it like.
It's not like center channel.
Yeah, it won't like center correctly. It will, but it should. It doesn't center how it actually happens on screen, and you can't hear if he's behind you or in front of you. So you only get left and right, and that's it.
Okay, yeah.
Oof.
It's not like,
Sometimes that sounds like a nightmare.
Sometimes that's super useful to have, but a lot of the time you're going to want a little bit more information than that. And,
okay, I'm sorry. I gotta go off about this. So, okay, there's a video about this. There's two Mr. X's, right? Like, when it's not scripted, there's two Mr. X's. And I was meant to explain this to Apache, like, at some point via DMs. And I'm probably going to fuck this up. There's one that is, like, sort of just going around the building. And there's a scripted one, and then there's the one going around the building. And fuck, never mind. Can you cut this out?
I'm here for it. Like,
no, there's so much I have to teach you, man. And I don't want to backseat game.
When we finish, I'm ready. I'll stream it to you. I'm down.
Yeah.
I feel bad for plugging what I wanted to plug now because we're kind of really far away from that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay because that was
sorry.
Because I am dying to watch Apache play this.
This is like the third game I've played in 2021, so I'm like so excited. This is like the third. I played MGS3 on Metal and now RE2.
Dude, I cannot wait to explain to you the Chris Redfield memes of him.
Oh my god.
I'm not even. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know
We're
what
gonna
you're
have
saying.
so much fun.
I know. Yep, we'll have to censor it. Real quick, just before I forget, if anybody cares about Zone of the Enders, or you want to learn more, or you just want to see a bunch of cool stuff, the de facto website for everything Zone of the Enders is zoneoftheenders.org. And it has everything. It is an archive of practically every single release for any type of merchandise related to the game. It's got story information. It's been around for ages. The guy who's running it has been really diligent. Anytime, even if it's sitting there for ages and nothing happens, if there's a little bit of Zone of the Enders news, he usually pops on to post it and then just, goes back to the void to wait for more. But go check it out. It's pretty cool. It's a nice glimpse into the...
I'll co-sign this. Like, I don't really care about Zone of the Enders, right? But Nitroid told me to check out this website. This website is one of the best looking websites you will see. It's really, really worth checking out, even if you're not huge into Zone of the Enders. And if you are and you haven't heard of it, like, how has that even happened? Go and look at that website now.
And it's very old school. Like, it comes from a different age of web design that isn't really used anymore, where it's very themed to fit the atmosphere of the game. It's awesome. It just, go check it out. There are not enough Zone of the Enders fans out there.
Can we put it in the Spotify description? Like, I've seen people do that before.
Yeah, I would like to do that.
Or I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have a guest or anything, so we can throw like relevant links into the description. It's really cool.
Wonder if I can get Okamura on here. He probably. I'm pretty sure he doesn't speak English, but small details.
Yeah, this website is definitely like from an era of like fucking web rings.
Oh yeah,
when the web wasn't just 3 websites.
When people gave a shit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just, pick which cookies we're going to force on you.
Yeah. This is dope.
Okay. This is going to be in my mind like all fucking day. So I sent you guys, I put on live chat the video explaining how Mr. X works.
How would you compare it to like the alien in Alien Isolation? Because there have been AI studies on that game.
Yeah, no, there's it's not as I would not say that it's as sophisticated.
It's not the primary focus of Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's just one aspect of it. So obviously they're not going to put most of their time into Mr. X when they've got the rest of the game to make.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Alien Isolation, the alien is the focus. It's like the center point of the entire experience.
But both of them probably have something in common with where it's like there's the stalker mode of like where it's like trying to find you, and then like you said, there's like the scripted thing where it's like the jump scare, like where it like re-triggers it, and then it starts stalking you again. So it's like that triggered sequence, like
it knows to back off.
Normally in between a zone where you're like safe, and then it kind of comes out at you again, and then it starts to chase again. So
and the more
AI
like
sequence.
Yeah, and the more countermeasures you use against the alien, it'll get more daring if you keep relying on the same tricks over and over.
Yeah.
This is something that look, I'm glad that Kojima got away from Metal Gear. I really am. But hypothetically, if he were to do another one, I would. I hear furious typing. Oh no!
No. I'm so sorry. Here's another one about him. It goes. The video goes. So the video goes out of bounds. This one goes. The video goes out of bounds on the RPD to show you exactly how like his AI works and how there's like.
Yeah, we'll have to link these.
Shout out Boundary Break.
Yes.
Can we get Boundary Break on here?
Yeah, we should be able to.
That would be fun. We should do that because I think he would get a kick out of some of the MGS2 stuff.
Well, I'm glad that something came out of my like manic episode about Mr. X. So, but yeah.
Yeah, just to finish that thought, if there were another Metal Gear, if Kojima were to do another Metal Gear, if just another Metal Gear period, I would love to see how Metal Gear would handle a stalker type enemy.
I thought that's what the Man on Fire was going to be.
Right? That's what I thought too. And it wasn't.
Such an underutilized, yeah.
I'm just picturing MGS3, but the Fury keeps randomly turning up in rooms. I'm terrified, honestly.
God, it wouldn't work in MGS5's open world, though, because you need those. When you have an open world and a stalker type enemy, it's not as effective because you've got too much free range of motion. You know, it's not as intimidating.
Just get in the truck and drive away.
Yeah.
Later, boy.
There's a bit of a, like, I see there's two types of people in the RE fandom. There's ones who are like, once you understand Mr. X, I'm going back to Mr. X. Once you understand Mr. X, he's not a problem. But there's other people who are like, no, that fucker's still scary.
Well, actually, if you think about it in Metal Gear, like in MGSV, I guess there's the fight with Quiet where she was kind of like, just sniping you a lot. But then also like there was the Skulls units like that. They were kind of stalkery.
A little, but it was more like, they were an intimidating presence.
Yeah.
But they weren't like actively hunting you. In a sense, like
there was that one mission where they were sniping the shit out of you when you were approaching that like cliffside.
But once they see you, the dynamic changes. It just goes into like an alert phase against a really tough enemy. It's not you're being actively pursued at all times and you need to maintain constant situational awareness.
True.
Or you're gonna get like a fist in your face if you open the wrong door. Which is when Mr. X is the most effective, when you don't remember that you're supposed to be watching for him, and you walk through a door and just wham.
And generally, when you're not when you're not thinking about him, is when you're thinking about 12 other things, and then you hear those stomps, just like you heard when like your mom was coming home and you forgot to take the meat out the fridge.
Yep,
like the same feeling.
And that would be interesting in a Metal Gear. That is honestly, I know you said you thought that was what the Man on Fire was going to be. I thought that was what the Gecko were going to be in MGS4.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, man, what about like the smaller unit Metal Gear type things? Yep, Irving.
Yeah, and you got to, I know I've talked about it before, but you get a taste of that right in the beginning,
Yep, right in Act 1.
And then another taste in Shadow Moses, and it's just, I wish they would have just taken that idea and ran with it and made that the central focus for the stealth in the game. Like if No Place to Hide makes way more sense if you are being constantly hunted.
Yeah.
This man is fixing MGS4 in his head again, but no, that's actually a great idea. You could take advantage of bring more opportunities to bring out sort of that SB, like not that sort of social engineering espionage where you're taking advantage of chaos.
Exactly, yeah. And this is where it wouldn't work in MGS5. It's just too wide open, too many areas that you can just, bolt off in, like Apache joked, get in the Jeep and go. In MGS4, despite the fact that it's more open world-ish, it's still fairly confined,
Yeah.
It's that scale of environment would be perfect for a stalker type. Like if you would have had Gecko hunting you in Eastern Europe, holy crap.
Ooh, yeah, that would have been the great way to do that.
And again, I'm so mad because like that was one of the things that got cut from the game. Not necessarily that they were a stalker type, but like they had this whole mission where you have to escort Eva to the river. And you have to
the sewers, right?
The sewers, right? And there were going to be like Gecko down there, and you had to like open floodgates and go up the manholes and down them, and you were like hopping between the two levels and avoiding. You're like, that sounds awesome. Why did no? Just I'm so mad.
I think we can just say that MGS4 is unfinished. I guess at this point, just throw it in the trash.
Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby?
Look, I know we just got done talking about how we shouldn't trash media. Because obviously there's a lot of work put into it. Not to say you shouldn't trash media, but
to be fair, I think if there's anything that Kojima was like, "Fuck that," towards, it may be MGS4.
I am trying not to be as overtly negative about stuff. Like I'm gonna have criticisms. I'm gonna have things that I like and don't like, and I want to analyze them and figure out why they worked and don't work. But like overt negativity about it, just I don't know. For my own sake, I'm trying to tone it down. But I will say this. If I had to summarize the breadth of why MGS4 frustrates me so much, it's because I can see the potential it had. And
you're not mad, you're just disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh, Pops.
You want to get in this Q&A? We got a shit ton of those.
I don't know how much you're cutting of this, but we are like 1 hour and we have so many questions.
And we also didn't get into like Halo Infinite, which there would have been a great segue there for the whole, negative response to games and not understanding how games are made.
Dude, I was trying, but
we can tuck into that real quick if you want.
I will say I haven't played it yet though, so I don't.
Oh, you haven't?
Nope.
Oh, dude, I actually have been I've been playing like a couple of rounds a day, and that's why I don't think I've been like really mad about this whole Battlefield progression thing, and like just I don't know, caring about Battle Pass type cosmetic shit. I've just never.
It's really bad.
You're playing the game, but you're not like Apache playing the game.
No, it's
there's levels to it.
The progression system is really bad, but it didn't make me like super mad. It just made me think I don't really want to play this as much. It wasn't rewarding me enough for playing it to where I didn't play as many games. Like I'll play like 4 or 5 matches and then I'll be done for a couple of days with it. The game, the actual game, the quality of the matches, like normal shooter things like how well do your bullets register when you fire at people, because the Master Chief Collection had a huge problem with that in like Halo 3 multiplayer. It was terrible. It was really, really bad. This plays flawlessly. It loads really quick. It looks great. It's optimized. It'll run on most people's machines. My worst criticism is the controller auto aim is so good that I've played on a mouse and keyboard my entire life, and I can play on a controller no problem in that game.
Oh, jeez.
I have heard that like controller is the way to go too.
It locks the body, and then as you fire the gun, it moves to the head. So you can destroy the shields and then headshot. Like,
and you just got like the recoil happening.
They got to get rid of that.
Like, it needs toning down for sure. Like for sure.
Aim assist?
What it's like bullet magnetism? Is that the word people were using for it?
I've always heard it as aim assist.
Yeah, it's not aim assist. It's aim bot. It's aim. It's
God.
It's really bad.
Holy shit!
Like if I don't play.
I don't know though. Like I haven't felt that. I don't feel like I'm getting like complete assist, but there's a little bit of a stickiness to it. Like that's like you gotta still aim. Like it's not Call of Duty campaign level where you squeeze aim down sight and it's like brap, and like lock on. It's not that level at all.
So it's like mechanically fundamentally sound, but the metagame needs work, is what I'm hearing.
Just sure, yeah, it's being tightened up. But the one thing too, the game's not fucking out yet. Like it's still beta until the 8th, I think.
Okay,
like, but let's. I'm so dissatisfied with my progression.
I know what Nitro is gonna say. He's gonna say something like, "You can't change much in a beta," but I think these are things that are.
You have to.
There are small variables that can be adjusted.
Sure. Am I really getting that predictable?
No, that's
because
the same shit.
Because you're exactly right. That was exactly.
I'm sorry, no, but
almost word for word what I was gonna say.
We're the two assholes that work in like development, so I figure.
Here's my Halo conspiracy theory, by the way, because I've been having a really easy time with the controller, and I haven't really played shooters on a controller. I have been doing really well in games, just using the controller. And other people haven't felt the exact same experience. Like Fingers was saying, it's not that bad. I think it's really bad. But I've got a first-party Elite 2 controller, which the computer knows it's an Elite 2, and maybe they make my auto-aim better to make me think that buying this really expensive controller was worth it.
Oh, that's devious.
I have the Xbox Series X controller too. So
have you got the Elite 2, the 160? It's like $200.
No. Just like the regular Xbox Series X controller.
The Elite 2 has like onboard software where you can change every aspect of the controller and stuff. It's a first party thing and it's really expensive. I bought it to play Metal Gear Solid 3.
I knew I was gonna get to Metal Gear Solid 3 at some point. You wanna hit these Q&A, y'all?
Yeah.
Holy crap, we got a lot. And they're really good.
Oh, I know. We're gonna
just take it in turns to answer them rather than us all answering each one. Or
how about we do half of? Because we're at like what?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, we don't have to do all of them.
Yeah, we'll do half, and then all right.
So if you don't hear it this time, check the next one.
Yeah, it's not that we don't love you. It's just that we ramble too much.
Ask your question again on the next tweet because it helps engagement. If you get missed.
Yeah. Tell us we missed you.
We'll remember that it was missed and definitely answer it.
Yeah. So the first question actually comes from a previous guest, Plywood, and he's asking, given the fairly warm reception of Unmetal, shout out to Super Bunny Hop who just released his review for that, within the MG community, how would you picture a 3D retro throwback similar to MGS1, MGS2 made by indie developers? Do you think that is too large of a task to undertake? And then somebody under him, Flash Medallion, suggested a game called Never Stop Sneaking, which I'm going to Google while also saying I did notice that trend of like low fidelity 3D games, and I'm kind of into it. As far as a Metal Gear game, I'm not sure, but I'm linking out to you guys. It's actually on sale.
There has been a lot of Metal Gear. I'm not saying this in like a bad way, but like Metal Gear ripoff games where it's like you can tell this is like that's exactly what they're going for.
Yeah,
and they are 3D, and it's like you can't just do that. I think we were talking the other day, and I heard about that. It's like you can't just throw these like, okay, it's a sneaking stealth game. There's containers everywhere, and my dude has a bandana. All right, cool. It's a Metal Gear game. It's like no, it's a little deeper than that.
Yeah, I thought Unmetal was going into a trap like that, but it started with that and then was its own game. It didn't just like it was like, oh, we're a Metal Gear ripoff, but then did its own thing outside of like the cheesy stuff. I worry that these games are just trying to be Metal Gear, or a 3D game that's trying to rip off Metal Gear Solid. It's trying to rip off Metal Gear Solid and cover all these like beats, like you say, but they're not really sure. They're not really sure why they're doing it. And I really want to play another 3D Metal Gear Solid game, so I really hope someone gets it right soon.
Yeah. It would be great if someone was working on something like that.
Yeah, wouldn't it be cool?
Yeah.
All right, next
that's crazy.
All right, we got from Johnny Flores Jr. He says, what's everyone's personal favorite Metal Gear game in the series and why, whether it be from a graphic standpoint, control, or storyline? I'm going to go real quick. OG Metal Gear Solid, PlayStation, 1998. No more questions.
For the story, I like the story of Metal Gear Solid 2 best. It's the one I think about all the time. It's the one I want to rewatch the cutscenes of. It's the one I probably, I don't fully understand it. And every time I replay it, I see something new in the story that I didn't notice before. I think I'll enjoy it for the rest of my life. The gameplay, Metal Gear Solid 3. I mean, I've played it every day for the last 2 years. It's pretty obvious that I like it.
Nitro, you next.
I'll be quick because everybody knows what I'm already going to say. As if it wasn't obvious that Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite game in the series, but to summarize why, I've said this before, but I really think that even the worst Metal Gear games are better than most other games, and they've all just been incredible experiences in one way or another, even when I didn't like them that much. Which is a weird statement, I get that. But MGS2 took it to a different place than the other games. It intentionally or unintentionally tried to be something greater than just a video game. And it opened me up to a lot of new ideas and new media, and God, I could fill a podcast episode talking about why I love Metal Gear Solid 2.
Dude, it needs to balance off your why I hate Metal Gear Solid 4 episode.
Yeah, we'll do that one day and fight about
it. Days, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I think, from sort of a holistic perspective, I think Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite. Just the overall experience, from being hyped about it, to being shocked by it, to being thrown in sort of the what I like to call the tumble dry of the plant experience. It was just like, it was so profound. Even as a kid, I knew this was something special, even though I didn't understand it. But like, if you were to sit me down and I was like, let's go through a Metal Gear game today, I'd probably say like Metal Gear Solid 1, It's just the type of thing I'm not on a patchy level, but I just like to pick it up and play through it, and it's like chicken noodle soup for my soul.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I was said no question. I was just fucking around. Like it's definitely the game that like it got me into Metal Gear. Like I played the one on on NES first, but then like when I played Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation 1, I was like, okay, hold on. Like it really made me
what was
a
that?
fan of this series and started like this game like stood out from all the others that were coming out at the time. So it's the thing that really got me into it at that point.
To piggyback off of that, I know we're kind of going down a rabbit hole, but that feeling you got of Metal Gear Solid 1 compared to every other game is how I feel about Metal Gear Solid 2 compared to every other Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 2. Okay, Metal Gear Solid 1 is like my grandma's chicken noodle soup. Like, it just hits the spot. I can go get it every time. Or, I don't know, like her mashed potatoes, whatever. Metal Gear Solid 2 is like the first time I try like sushi. Like, I'm befuddled, but it's like, this shit rocks.
And holistic is such a great word for it, too, when you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I think makes it stand out, or at least part of what makes it stand out, is that everything is so tightly married to every other element. They all very clearly belong together. There's no discord except when they want there to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very perfectly realized aesthetically.
And it's really like the core foundation of like the gameplay experience. And like if you look, if you go back and look at like Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, it's like, they were even doing it back then pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
But so that's, that is why I answered like the OG trilogy for me. That was like, it's just like, these are all the things that really resonated with me. It was like these gameplay mechanics, this tight story, the cool, fun characters, the interesting boss fights. Like, this is why I like video games.
Ironically, and we'll move on after this comment, but another game I sort of felt like that for a period of time was Ground Zeroes. Like, I could just pick it up and just like do the mission and do it a different way and just kind of enjoy myself. But that's neither here nor there. Okay. I want to say this one because this is my dude. Mario Kart Hero asked, what's your opinion on the XM8 and MGS4/MGO2? Shouts out to Prof.
It's a good gun. It looks cool. Yeah.
It's a little OP.
It's no M4. Just kidding. I don't play the meta in that game. I don't play that game very much at all anymore.
Are we talking XM8 or Johnny's XM8?
He's talking about knowing Mario Kart. He's probably talking mostly about the MGO XM8.
Because, well, I mean, you can play as Johnny. You get his XM8, and there are balance differences between it and the standard.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think I've maybe seen Johnny be played there once, but again, I have a very limited experience.
I can't remember what the differences are. I just remember that whenever I had the XM8, I tended to do better. Which probably means it's overpowered.
I know this is slightly off topic, but I was never around for I never played MGO. I never played the original MGO.
Yeah, me neither.
Why on earth didn't that come out with the HD collection?
Is doing network infrastructure. They didn't feel that the cost of updating that game and its infrastructure would give the right amount of return.
Yeah, I mean, they were still running Peace Walker servers at that point, too.
For shame.
I agree. I loved MGO1. It's a blast. It's broken and not entirely realized, but it's a lot of fun.
By this point, you would have the most insane meta in the game. Like, whatever the meta was at the time when it came out, it would be so different now. I'm
not even sure it's sophisticated enough to develop a meta, if I'm being honest. Kite Antonio asks, can we have a Metal Gear fandom meetup watch party for the movie like the Resident Evil YouTubers did recently for the new Resident Evil movie? With some choice debates afterwards.
Is Oscar Isaac gonna be there?
They better invite us to the fucking premiere of this thing.
I would.
we started out our podcast talking about this movie.
Yeah, I would love to be able to go.
I would love to at least go with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if we can't get to the premiere, we should at least find a way to go to the movie together. That would be fun, and then we could, I don't know, live stream us talking about it after at like a
Yes,
bar or something.
I will come for that. It's
But,
kind of far for me,
man,
but I'll come.
man, you know,
Across the pond.
I don't know if going to a premiere would be a good idea. I'm sure the three of you would handle yourselves like professionals, but if
my
I
God,
saw
no
anything
way.
in that movie that I did not like,
Nitro would storm out
Yeah.
the fucking movie theater.
I would have like they always do the courtesy. So what did you think of the movie with the mic at the end of the premiere? And I would just, I would not be able to handle that. It would, I would. I'm a little too honest for that. I'm sorry, Jordan. I hope your movie's good, so I don't have to be mean.
I think I'd be fine. I'd be like, yeah, I think it was a great movie. I really enjoyed the way he handled the Archon pissing himself soon.
But I want to know if the piss was CG or not.
Oh my God, I have so many
Did they
questions.
use practical effects?
Yeah. Method acting.
God. Yeah, I think that would be fun if we could all get together. I think it's going to be the hardest for Apache unless the three of us fly to the UK.
No, it'd be fine. It'd be fine.
It's almost as if we have fans funding us so that we can do shit like that.
Yeah, we do have that Patreon over there. We've got the live listens, you know.
Yeah, that's
Check out our stuff.
Start saving up now because that's going to be a. Whew.
On the topic of the movie, let's see. Shadowman Live asks, this one is about the MGS movie. Do you think if they do a mash between multiple games like RE Welcome to Raccoon City would it be successful?
And was it successful in Welcome to Raccoon City?
No spoilers, please. It doesn't come out until Friday. I've got tickets to see it. It doesn't come out here until
I
Friday.
haven't seen it.
Look,
I haven't seen it. I just
but we
hate
do
that
know-
they combined.
Can
one
I jump
and
in
two.
here? Can I just
Go.
Can I jump in here? Okay,
Go.
I don't know what's up with the new Resident Evil movie, but I have a question about this question, which is, what's the real question here? Will it be successful or will it be good?
Yeah. Well, commercially successful, yeah, I guess that's one thing, but will it be actually enjoyable for us? I don't know. We've all got different expectations of this. Like the Resident Evil movie, it looks like they're making some choices and they are trying to like pick apart some parts from each game and stuff and combine it. I think that is the direction the Metal Gear movie will probably go. It'll probably have some scenes from like some different eras, even if it's mainly focused in like say Shadow Moses.
Yeah.
It might reference some shit that happened a while ago.
No, you're just making me think of like how Red Letter Media has been talking about like directors these days putting reverence on like every little detail of an old film, even if it was just like an act of improv, or like a very quick creative choice. And now I'm wondering like what that's going to be in the Metal Gear.
If I'm reading Jordan right, and it's hard to do because he plays his creative decisions very close to the chest, especially with regards to Metal Gear. I mean, there's only so much you can openly talk about, of course, but it seems that it is going to be some sort of a mashup in that way. Not necessarily a mashup of multiple stories taking place either in parallel or sequentially. But you know how I've said this before, but like the Ghost in the Shell movie where they kind of took like 3 different plots from Ghost in the Shell and mashed them into one. The Metal Gear Solid movie is likely going to be that, but in a meta sense where it's aware that it's a mess, like it's a mashup, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's what seems to be the gimmick here. That's my read on it. I don't know, but like just I was following his like how he was talking about it, and I'm trying to like piece together what I think he's doing, and I think that's what he's doing.
I love the Ghost in the Shell live action movie.
I mean,
guys, we're at 1 hour and 22 minutes.
God,
don't get us started.
Okay. Can I just say one other thing?
This is also something that happened in the podcast Nitro was in. They were like, we gotta go, and then they talked for like 10 more minutes.
Yeah,
it never ended.
I mean, just on what you said, Days, I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife with the kids. And I know we've talked about it a little bit, and I don't want to go on and on about it, even though I very clearly could. But it's definitely that issue of the somewhat inappropriate reverence for things. You know, my kids loved it. I mean, they had a blast. They it succeeded at what it was trying to do, which is to
Yeah, that's what matters. And entertain your kids.
Whole film.
Pay for the tickets.
But it's just some like amalgamation of everything Ghostbusters over the years, kind of like.
Well,
I know what you're talking about, and it's pretty fucked up. I think in a way they sold toys on that plot point. Don't you think that's kind of weird?
Oh my god, yeah! I saw that the other day that they made toys of a part of the movie that should absolutely not have toys, and I can't talk about it in detail without spoiling the movie. But it's
so think about that in the context of like Metal Gear, like little moments that, and it's kind of a hard exercise in a sense that I think Kojima does put reverence in little details, which is why we like him. But think about the stuff that was the little offhand wacky stuff that Kojima did as an Easter egg, and now imagine a film director like making a whole ass like emotional plot point.
Yeah, I mean MGS4 to its credit did that in a self-aware way where it was sort of like it was aware of your reverence for all these little things in Metal Gear Solid. But
Metal Gear Solid 4 felt like, I'm sorry for interrupting. Metal Gear Solid 4 felt like revering like a disturbing reverence of like a corpse.
Yes, yeah, it was criticizing your reverence for it. That was what the game was. And I wish it would have landed better because that's actually a really interesting angle to cover. Like, just to say, you have elevated all of these elements of this thing to a ridiculous degree. I know we're like getting so far off track here, and most of this is probably going to get cut anyway. But yeah, it was looking at sort of that phenomenon in advance of that phenomenon and going, this is kind of weird, you know?
I just felt like the Ghostbusters movie was an apology for the last Ghostbusters movie.
I mean, it's weird that you say that because, I mean, look, this is much more of an actual movie than the 2016 one was. And it's strange because they're like, you know how every action has an equal yet opposite reaction, right?
Yep.
These movies are like equal yet opposite types of awful.
And I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I mean, yeah.
Is it like fan service versus like just bad
it
plot?
It depends on your relationship with Ghostbusters.
I think Ghostbusters is a fucking hilarious film. I enjoy it. I'm just not like building the car and stuff, you know.
I guess that's not a fair way of putting it, because I did like Afterlife. I had a good time. It's just, there were parts of it that really weirded me out as someone who just looks at the original and goes, yeah, it's a funny comedy.
Do you think if Metal Gear Solid 4 had more of that, like, Ghostbusters charm with its cynicism, like a little more comedy, like people buying, like, Big Boss action figures, and then Eva funding her fucking like military group with that. I don't know. I feel like little shit like that would have.
If it was more cynical, yeah, I think it would have been better, because MGS4, it rides that line between criticizing the reverence of the series and being too reverent of itself, you know? Like, its head definitely kind of goes up its own ass a bit. And if it was more tongue-in-cheek, like, okay, I've heard people talk about, like, MGS4 in Japanese has a very different tone than the American dub for it. I don't know if you can't really call it a dub, I guess. But
yeah, I know that too. I listened to it on a podcast.
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
I know I'm going off and off here, and I really don't want to go on at length, but I wonder, like, how differently that game landed in Japanese than it did here. People love that game and, like, genuinely think it's like this really heartfelt conclusion and it wraps up all the plot points, and I cried at this part. And like, there's a part of me that like looks at that game and is like, first off, how could any part of this make you cry? And second off, a lot of this seems tongue in cheek because of how ridiculous it is. But because of the tone that it sets and sticks with, it's hard to tell how much of that interpretation of it being tongue in cheek is accurate, you know? So if that was the intent, it needed to tip its hat a bit more, you know?
I can accept that.
I'm sorry.
What are you gonna do if the director he doesn't do his due diligence, and then the night before he's got to turn in the script or whatever, he just watches like Super Bunny Hop's MGS2 video and then just makes the film about that.
Look, man, here's the thing. I want the Metal Gear Solid movie to be good. I'm gonna go in with an open mind. I'm gonna hope for the best, and I'm not gonna go in with any like preconceived opinion about it. I'm just gonna watch it for what it is. Metal Gear is part of the DNA of Metal Gear is misleading marketing. You never know when it starts, and if Vogt Roberts is trying to follow that ethos to the letter, then we're already in the middle of the game, right?
Yeah.
But that said, I have come to a point where I have accepted that it is unlikely that anything Metal Gear that comes out from this point forward will ever satisfy me again. I've resigned to that fact. It's okay. It's let it be.
Yeah, we're definitely like all out here like desperate for new Metal Gear games and desperate for like new Metal Gear content and stuff. But I don't know. It's a hard target to hit.
Someone said to me once, like, I hope it's really good or really bad. It's like if it's just flat and it just kind of sucks, then that's kind of lame. But if it's really bad, at least it'll be funny.
I think people said that about like the Ghostbusters. That was the most disappointing part about the 2016 Ghostbusters film. Like it was just mid. Like everybody's arguing about this mid film.
Yeah, it didn't deserve the fervor and outrage surrounding it.
I felt that way about Last of Us too. I was like,
yeah.
This game is mid. Why is everybody arguing?
Because I don't know.
I feel bad for them. Yeah.
Everybody likes a football game. It's team sports. Whatever.
I don't know. Is Solid Snake gonna look in the camera and say, "I'm Solid Snake, bitch," and then the huge explosion? Like,
is it gonna have like Joss Whedon dialogue? Right? Yeah. I mean,
Christmas came early, motherfucker.
Yeah,
I kind of hope that's in it.
It just walks into like you think about the armory from Metal Gear Solid 1, but it's like more like a scene from The Matrix where he's just killing hundreds of guards.
Will it be inspired by the Raymond Benson novels?
Yes. Raymond Benson brought in as a fucking special consultant
on the film.
Yeah. Please no. Please no.